أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين. Verse number 54 of Surah Nisa. أم يحسدون الناس على ما آتاهم الله من فضله فقد آتينا آل إبراهيم الكتاب والحكمة وآتيناهم ملكا عظيما. Or do they envy the people for what Allah has given them out of His grace? We have certainly given the progeny of Abraham the book and wisdom, and we have given them a great sovereignty. This verse is a continuation of the previous verses about the Jews in Medina who actually traveled to Mecca to ally with the mushrikun to confront the Prophet, peace be upon him, despite a treaty that they had with the Prophet for peaceful coexistence in Medina. Now here, usually means or, but here, because of the context, it means bal, rather. Now, why have they done that? Why have they gone to Mecca? يؤمنون بالجبت والطاغوت ويقولون للذين كفروا هؤلاء أهدى من الذين آمنوا سبيلا. They go there, they worship idol and the custodians of the idols, and they say that these polytheists are better guided on the way than those who have believed in the Prophet, peace be upon him. Why have they done it? It's not because of anything, but it's rather because they envy the people for what Allah has given them out of their grace. Am yahsudun an-nas means bal yahsudun an-nas. This is what Majmu' al-Bayan has emphasized. Tabrasi in his Tafsir has emphasized. It means that these people do not like the Fadl of Allah, which in this context means prophethood, means receiving revelation, receiving heavenly book. They do not like anyone to receive it except from amongst themselves. And that's why now that Muhammad, peace be upon him, has received a heavenly book, is receiving revelation, they feel jealous, they envy. That is why they are showing all this enmity. It's not for anything else. It's not that they do not understand or they do not realize that this book is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now here it says Am yahsuduna nas. Nas means people. Rather, they do envy the people. Now, the commentators have said people here may be a reference to the Prophet, peace be upon him, specifically. And it's common. Sometimes, we want to refer to a person, we refer to the people who are around that person, but of course the context shows that we are meaning that one person, because not anyone else except the Prophet received the revelation. And of course, because he was in a context of a wider society, the whole society may have been referred to, as some commentators have said, but some have said this is specifically a reference to the Prophet. They envied the Prophet because of the nubuwwah that Allah had given him. And the verse says, why do you feel jealous? Why do you envy him? Because we have given before him Al Ibrahim. And in this context, Al Ibrahim may be a reference to both the branch of Ishaq and the branch of Ismail. We have given them before these things. And Inna al-fadla biyadillah. The fadl and grace is in the hands of Allah. يُؤْتِيهِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. He can give it to anyone he wishes. So فَقَدْ آتَيْنَا آلَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. Well, we gave to David, Solomon, others, we gave them sovereignty, we gave them book, we gave them knowledge and revelation. And the other meaning, we'll come to the difference between kitab and hikmah shortly. The other meaning is that Nas here means Al Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Muhammad, including his progeny, the imams from his progeny. Al-Muradu bin Nas, the second meaning that Majmu' al-Bayan mentions is Yahsudun al-Nas, they feel envy to the Prophet and his progeny, whom have been mentioned in their books as well. In this regard, Majmu' al-Bayan quotes a hadith from Tafsir al-Ayyashi from Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam. He says that نحن قوم, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam is addressing Abu Sabbah al-Kanani, نحن قوم فرض الله طاعتنا. We are a people that Allah has made our obedience obligatory. Lana al-Anfal, the Anfal, which are of course public property, with its definition, belongs to us because we are the imams, we are the leaders, we have to distribute it among the people. وَنَحْنُ الرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ, we are the ones who are firmly established in knowledge. Another Quranic term. And we are the ones that Allah said about them, أَمْ يَحْسُدُونَ النَّاسِ, in his book, Al-Ayah. أَمْ يَحْسُدُونَ النَّاسِ بِمَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ عَلَى مَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. So this is a second meaning for it. And the third meaning, Nas here, although specifically goes back to the Prophet, but it contains, it includes the Prophet and his companions as well, because they said هؤلاء أهدى من الذين آمنوا سبيلا, and الذين آمنوا are the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Now the difference between al-Kitab wal-Hikmah, it says وَفَقَدْ آتَيْنَا آلَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ وَآتَيْنَاهُمْ مُلْكًا عَظِيمًا. Allama Tabatabai in Al-Mizan argues that Al Ibrahim here is just a specific group of his progeny, and that is the Prophet and the Imams from his progeny, Al Ibrahim. But other commentators have taken it to have a wider meaning. Anyone from the progeny of Ibrahim who received the book and the wisdom. فَقَدْ آتَيْنَا آلَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. It means, why you feel jealous? This is not an unprecedented matter. We have given your forefathers as well what we have given to Muhammad, peace be upon him. Ibrahim was your forefather. Ishaq was your forefather. And Dawood and Sulaiman and others. So we have given such things before to people. Why you think it is something which you cannot tolerate seeing in other people? Now, فَقَدْ آتَيْنَا عَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. We gave them book and wisdom, al-Kitab wal-Hikmah. What is the difference between Kitab and Hikmah? Now, the commentators have different views on that. We have discussed this before. يُعَلِّمُهُمُ when we were discussing the verse, وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. Now, this context is a bit different. They say Kitab is Nubuwwah, and Hikmah means an understanding and distinguishing between good and bad. So they know intrinsically that what is good and should be done and what is evil and should be avoided. In fact, the ethics has been, the good ethics has been installed in their fitrah. They can understand. This is the meaning of hikmah, wisdom. And Hakim is someone who has this power. وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا لُقْمَانَ الْحِكْمَةِ. Of course, Luqman was not given a book, but but he was given hikmah, لَقَدْ آتَيْنَا لُقْمَانَ الْحِكْمَةِ, and that hikmah, part of it, or the most important part of it, was that أَنِشْكُرْ لِلَّهِ, you have to offer thanks, be grateful to God. This is a great wisdom in itself if you want to really implement it in all aspects of their lives. أَنِشْكُرْ لِلَّهِ. So, kitab is nubuwwah, al-hikmah is fahm. Another meaning may be, kitab may be heavenly book, and hikmah may be nubuwwah. Not all prophets received heavenly book. They had the quality of prophethood. They were prophets, but they were following books of other messengers, for example. So kitab may mean heavenly book given to Moses, Jesus, Ibrahim alayhi salam, and hikmah may be nubuwwah given to other prophets. And other meanings have been mentioned. Anyhow, that is not matter of concern. The verse is trying to somehow make those Jews understand that this is not something exclusively for you. We have given it to other people, and you shouldn't envy if, for example, we have given it to Arabs instead of Hebrews, for example. فَقَدْ آتَيْنَا آلَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَآتَيْنَاهُمْ مُلْكًا عَظِيمًا, and we gave them a huge kingdom, a grand kingdom. Now, what this kingdom is, some have said that this, of course, because Prophet, peace be upon him, established a government and he had a kingdom, although it didn't last much as a sort of holy kingdom, but he himself established something like that, so it was a kingdom. Of course, he was not a king, but he had that sovereignty. And some say the same is the sovereignty of Sulaiman and Dawood, آتَيْنَاهُمْ مُلْكًا عَظِيمًا. But they didn't have this great sovereignty, great mulk, mulkan azima. So mulkan azima should refer to something else, and that may be we gave them the authority to rule over people spiritually. It was not a material sovereignty, a political sovereignty, so to speak. It was the sovereignty for guiding people. And we gave the greatest part of this sovereignty to Al Ibrahim. And every prophet after him was from his progeny. And so here the order of the three qualities suggests that their sovereignty, you say, al-kitaba wal-hikmah wa mulkan azima, that their sovereignty was based on the book and wisdom, not on anything else, not on force, power. In certain cases, they didn't have any power at all, but they had the power and sovereignty of the book, of their wisdom. And if anyone wanted to find guidance, should have gone to them, and this is great kingdom, isn't it? A different type of kingdom, of course, but it is nevertheless, we can call it a kingdom. وَآتَيْنَاهُمْ مُلْكًا عَظِيمًا. Okay, now the next couple of verses, in a sense, sums up what was discussed before. فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ آمَنَ بِهِ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ صَدَّ عَنْهُ وَكَفَى بِجَهَنَّمَ سَعِيرًا. Of them are some who believe in him, مَنْ آمَنَ بِهِ, or believe in it, depending whether this bihi, the pronoun it refers back to the Prophet, peace be upon him, or to the Quran, to the revelation. So of them are some who believe in him or in it, and of them are some who deter others from him, and hell suffices for a blaze. Now, of course, sadda'an can be used as transitive or intransitive. If we say it's transitive, it means what has been mentioned here, some who deter others from him. And if it's intransitive, it means some who turn away from him. Both meanings are correct about sadda. فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ آمَنَ بِهِ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ صَدَّ عَنْهُ وَكَفَى بِجَهَنَّمَ سَعِيرًا. So as I said, this just wraps up the previous discussion by describing the end of those who believe and those who disbelieve. Of course, the next two verses talks about those who disbelieve first and those who believe. فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ آمَنَ بِهِ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ صَدَّ عَنْهُ وَكَفَى بِجَهَنَّمَ سَعِيرًا. The verse, in a sense, implies that the matter has been clarified. لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي. Guidance and misguidance is now very clear. There's nothing confusing about it. People cannot say that we have been confused, we are confused. No. It is very clear. قد تبين الرشد من الغي. And then those who believe have quite a different destiny from those who disbelieve. It's like the verse in Surah Al-Kahf, وَقُلِ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ إِنَّا أَعْتَدْنَا لِلظَّالِمِينَ نَارًا أَحَاطَ بِهِمْ سُرَادُهَا. Say, the truth from your Lord is clear. Let anyone who wishes believe, and let anyone who wishes disbelieve. Indeed, we have prepared for the wrongdoers a fire. Wrongdoers, الظالمين, are those who disbelieve. They wrong themselves. A fire whose curtains will surround them on all sides. So, in other places of the Quran as well, هو الذي خلقكم فمنكم كافر ومنكم مؤمن. He is the one who has created you. But some of you reject this. Reject his authority, and some of you accept his authority. And here, وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ آمَنَ بِهِ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ صَدَّ عَنْهُ. Some believe in him, some disbelieve in him. Or in Surah Al-An'am, وَهُمْ يَنْهَوْنَ عَنْهُ وَيَنْأَوْنَ عَنْهُ. Both meaning of Sadda'an has been mentioned in this verse. We said Sadda'an as transitive may mean they deter others from believing. As intransitive means they do not believe in it, they turn away from it. This is the meaning of Sadda. Now in Surah Al-An'am, both these meanings are mentioned very, very explicitly. وَهُمْ يَنْهَوْنَ عَنْهُ وَيَنْأَوْنَ عَنْهُ. They dissuade others from following him and themselves avoid him. يَنْأَوْنَ عَنْهُ. And then the verse continues saying, وَأَنْ يُهْلِكُونَ إِلَّا أَنفُسَهُمْ وَمَا يَشْعُرُونَ. Yet they destroy no one except themselves, but they are not aware. Anyhow, here, regarding مِنْهُمْ مَنْ آمَنَ بِهِ, there are two views. We talked about آل Ibrahim, isn't it? We talked about لَقَدْ آتَيْنَا آل إبراهيم الكتاب والحكمة وآتيناهم ملكا عظيما. This آمن به refers to the Prophet or refers to Ibrahim. Both meanings, each meaning has a nice perspective to the verse. So if we say منهم من آمن به means they believe in the Quran or the Prophet, it means from Ahlul Kitab. Despite this envy which is there, some people, some of Ahlul Kitab suppress it. And they believe in the Prophet, and some they do not. So some of the Ahlul Kitab آمن به, آمن بمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم, and some turn away from him. This is one view from early Mufassirin. The other view is that some, it's a sort of consolation for the Prophet, peace be upon him. That look at the previous prophets, look even at Ibrahim. When he brought his message. When he began his mission, some believed in him and some disbelieved. And it's natural. You should not be worried and concerned that you are not fulfilling your duty. This is the people who believe and disbelieve. It's not your fault. So, minhum man amana bih means from the past nations were those who believed in Ibrahim and were those who disbelieved in him, as they are doing the same with you. So it is a sort of consolation for the Prophet, peace be upon him. So do not kill yourself that they are not believing. فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمْ in Surah Al-Kahf إِن لَمْ يُؤْمِنُوا بِهَذَا الْحَدِيثِ أَسَفًا. Do you want to kill yourself of sorrow? Because of the sorrow which you feel in your heart that they do not believe? You have no power over that. So, the verse ends with this very short sentence. وَكَفَى بِجَهَنَّمَ سَعِيرًا. Those who disbelieve, why nothing happens to them? Why is this going all through from Ibrahim, before him, after him? Some believe, some disbelieve. And except in very exceptional cases when a big punishment came, nothing happened. He says, don't worry, there is something which will come. And that is sufficient. If they escape from the punishment in this world, there's no worry, because the punishment of this world is meager, is nothing. What comes in the hereafter, the blaze of the fire. So, Jahannam, the hell, is sufficient as a blaze to give them the punishment that they deserve. وَكَفَى بِجَهَنَّمَ سَعِيرًا. Now, this verse 1955 said that مِنْهُمْ مَنْ آمَنَ بِهِ مِنْهُمْ مَنْ صَدَّ عَنْهُ. Now, what about those who صَدَّ عَنْهُ, turned away and deterred others? إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِآيَاتِنَا. Verse number 56. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِآيَاتِنَا سَوْفَ نُصْلِيهِمْ نَارًا كُلَّمَا نَضِجَتْ جُلُودُهُمْ بَدَّلْنَاهُمْ جُلُودًا غَيْرَهَا لِيَذُوقُوا الْعَذَابَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَزِيزًا حَكِيمًا. Indeed, those who defy our signs, we shall soon make them into a fire. نُصْلِيهِمْ نَارًا. A fire is not something I can explain for you. Just this nakara is used, indefinite word is used to say that you do not know and I cannot explain for you. What type of thing is that? سَوْفَ نُصْلِيهِمْ نَارًا كُلَّمَا نَضِجَتْ جُلُودُهُمْ. Indeed, those who defy our signs, we shall soon make them enter a fire. As often as their skins become scorched, we shall replace them with other skins, so that they may taste the punishment. Indeed, Allah is Almighty, All-Wise. This verse tells us, gives us some insight into the philosophy of the fire of the hell, with regards to the scorching of the skin and the replacement. Why it should be replaced? Just to feel the pain, or there is some other reason behind it? And now, let's come to that, inshallah. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَوْفَ نُصْلِيهِمْ نَارًا. Kafaru here means جَحَدُوا حُجَجَنَا. They, in effect, defied, despite knowing, defied our proofs. They belied the prophets and all the signs that we showed them in the heavens and the earth about Tawheed, about the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They rejected all of that. He says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِآيَاتِنَا. Both ayat in creation and the ayat in revelation. They just rejected all of them. سَوْفَ نُصْلِيهِمْ نَارًا. Soon we shall enter them a fire. Here, this sawfa means that there is a continuation to this life. Do not think that the life of man is limited to this stage that we are living in. It will continue, and of course, we preserve everything, we never forget anything, and that is what will come back to them, whatever we have preserved for them as their actions and the requital of their actions. سَوْفَ نُصْلِيهِمْ نَارًا. Salah means to grill or to throw something in fire to be grilled. Both are valid meanings. So to grill or to throw something in fire to grill. Or another meaning of salah means to make something accompany with something else, attached. The fire will become attached to them. But here, as it's translated, is a good translation. Soon we shall make them enter a fire. We throw them in the fire. نُصْلِيهِمْ نَارًا كُلَّمَا نَضِجَتْ جُلُودُهُمْ. As often as their skins are scorched, we shall replace them with other skins. Now, نَضِجَتْ, scorched, means we say something has this nuzj when fully cooked or broiled. Or it also used for ripening of fruits. Now let's take this second meaning here, ripening of fruits. We can say that the skin which is being burnt, of course the skin is said, but skin is the first organ, first part of our body which feels the pain or have the sensation. Of course it goes deeper, but the skin in itself is very important in this sense. And the skin is scorched because of certain action until it is ripened. It comes to its final stage of ripeness, then it falls, and another skin which belongs to another sin. And these must replace until the person is pure of all sins. This is one, of course, one understanding. I don't say this is the interpretation of the verse, but we can infer from the term نَضِجَتْ that when we are in the hell, the fire is not just precariously coming to people. There is a reason behind it. And that reason is to make people to come out of their evil identity. And the evil identity is manifold. And each time one is burnt, another comes, another burns, another comes, until it finishes. As I said, this is just a free understanding of the verse. It is not, I don't say this is the interpretation that other commentators have ever mentioned. But we can say that, yes, this sense, because when something happens to a person, gradually the person becomes indifferent. The senses become indifferent towards it. Especially if the skin is scorched, it's the sensation of pain will go. So here it says it's not like that. This is continually being implemented on them. And therefore, this is not something which will end. كلما نضجت جلودهم بدلناهم جنودا غيرها ليذوقوا عذاب, so that they can feel and sense ليذوقوا العذاب, they can sense the punishment, they can feel it, because without sensing and feeling it, the purpose of punishment is not fulfilled. It should be. Now, there is one question here, which of course the answer is very clear, but usually the old polemical discussions used such topics for bringing objections against the verses of the Quran, especially those polemical atheists and people who wanted to find fault in the Quran. And the question was that, I'm sure, I mean, you may somehow laugh at this question, but this was something which had engaged the minds of many people before, and that was that this skin which with which we have lived and we have committed sin. Okay, suppose it burns, so a new skin comes. What is the sin of that skin? That sin hasn't committed any sin, hasn't done any fault. So why should that burn? As I said, the answer is very clear, but it engaged many minds, and the Imams alayhimussalam also engaged in answering this question, and there was a very beautiful answer, very thought-provoking answer from Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, that we leave it for our next session, inshallah. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.